You see it. You see it. All right, let's get out of this. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture just to see how those incidents affect our daily lives. Listen, we are here. You see it scrolling on the bottom of the screen. We are about to review Bel Air, Season 2, Episode 7, entitled Under Pressure. Under pressure. All right, let's get into this. You know how we do it. If you like what you are seeing, if you like my reviews of my videos, please hit that like button. Also, please subscribe. When you subscribe, you are then open to a plethora of different playlists of videos that I have, videos, movies, and series that I have reviewed. Come join the family. Come join the family. Again, hit that like button. I see you coming. I see you here. So just go ahead and hit that like button. That's like leaving a little offering for me. I appreciate it. I really do. So let's get into this. We're not going to spend too much time on this. This was overall this episode was character building for me. We're starting to flesh out these characters and what their motivations are and things like that. So let's get into it. So it opens up with Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil doing this beautiful breakfast for the boys because they're very proud of them both being nominated as for the Founders Award. We'll just go through this whole situation with this Founders Award. It means more to Carlton than it really does Will. But I think what's happening is, as I see it, well, anyway, let's just get into it. They are competing for this award. They're having to do a lot of prep sessions and things like that so that they can get this award. And you remember that Carlton is still suffering from his anxiety, and Will is still under pressure to be in the league with Doc to because he wants to further his career. We see that. So I'll just go ahead and go off the bat. We do not see Ashley at all in this episode. Not at all. She's not at a dinner table. She is nowhere to be found in this episode. And again, I told you all last time that I think that they continue to miss opportunities with Ashley and with Ashley's age group. They continue to miss opportunities. I do understand that, but I think if we look at each other generationally, I think it is her generation. It is a wonderful opportunity for those of us in my generation and the generations behind her. I think this may be like 2 generations that we have an opportunity to understand this digital world generation, that we're missing these opportunities. Just for me, I just think that that's a missed opportunity to be able to get into the mindset of this generation. But that's just my opinion. So we see them talking about that. We see Will and Uncle Phil and Carlton on the golf course. Uncle Phil gives them a little lesson about most of the deals are not made in the boardroom. They're made on the golf courses. They're made at sporting events. They're made at all these little different places. So it is one thing to impress somebody in the boardroom, but you have to be just as impressive outside of the boardroom. And I think for a lot of us, that's if you're talking about wheeling and dealing, if you're talking about getting into the corporate world, even if you're talking about being an entrepreneur and out here doing business, it's not just the fact that you can get out here and you can work the hardest and you be at your business and you're doing all these other things. Networking and having connections is just as important. So it is also important, not just that you're somebody that works hard. That is very, very important. But if you're somebody that works hard and you don't have the ability to communicate and to network, you working hard, that's all people are going to want you to do is to work hard. There's nothing wrong with that, but they only see you as someone who is working. They don't see you as someone who wants to move up and to do all these anything. If you're always interesting, if you're in a corporate setting, if you're interested in moving up, you have got to have the ability to communicate. You've got to be able to communicate who you are, what your culture is, what you like, what you don't like. You're going to have the ability to adapt, all of these things. So basically, Uncle Phil was just basically giving them a lesson on that. You can see Carlton's face that he's a little perturbed. And again, a lot of that has to do with, and again, that's generational. Uncle Phil, as we saw in this last episode with all his folks from Yamakra, his whole life has been about competing with his brothers and all of these little different things. And so he thinks that is the spirit that Carlton is running from. And we can clearly see that Carlton wants to achieve, he wants to have those spaces, but he is a young man that needs more support than just the competition part of it. He needs more support. And that has to be acknowledged. It doesn't make Carlton weak. That doesn't make him a simp. That doesn't make him any other thing than the fact that he is a young man that needs more support than what his family is currently giving him. All right. I took notes, y'all. I tried to be good. Oh, Lord, how did I do that? It's something having this phone. When you want it to turn the light on, you can press that little button. It'll never turn it on. But when you're just not trying to do it, it happens. So then we see that Jeffrey gets to meet his son, Frederick. And we're just going to go through this whole thing because there's some questions that I have. So we see Jeffrey meets his son, Frederick. It doesn't go quite as well as Jeffrey thought it should go in his head. Frederick can't juxtapose who he knows his father to be from the man that he sees that he is. The Banks family is doing a really good job of trying to sell Jeffrey to Frederick, but Frederick is feeling some kind of way about that. He's like, everybody else can depend on him, but I couldn't depend on him. And like I said, he was feeling some kind of way. Jeffrey did explain himself. He told him what happened. But again, he's a child that had to go through a whole lot of stuff. It's very difficult to be able to explain to a child why he had to go into care when he had a viable father that could have taken care of him. It's hard to explain these types of things to children as effectively as you need to do. And so Jeffrey was trying. He brought him back to the Banks house, and it's a mansion, and Frederick is reasonably impressed. They happen to go into a room where there are pictures done up, and you can see the Banks family in the picture, but you can also see a picture of Jeffrey with Will and with Carlton, and that sends Frederick in a certain place. He's upset about that, and he gets ready to leave. And he says he wants to go back to London. So Jeffrey is trying to convince him to stay so they can get together, kind of talk. But Frederick is not trying to hear that. And like I said, I can see his point of view that everyone had his father but him. And he felt like there was no reason for him not to have his father. So he decides to leave. So before he leaves, Uncle Phil talks to him and tries and explains to him all of this stuff basically about Frederick's life. You're misreading your father. When you tried to join a gang and the gangs wouldn't do that, that was Jeffrey. When your folks couldn't work for a year because of injuries, and you all still had money to do what you needed to do, and you go to your fancy school, that was Jeffrey. So Uncle Phil told him a lot of little different things that how his father was in his life when he wasn't in his life. Y'all know where I'm going with this. Because 2 episodes ago, Jeffrey was running around in confusion trying to figure out where his son was. So was that Jeffrey or was that Uncle Phil doing all of those things? keeping up with Frederick? Was it Jeffrey or was it Uncle Phil? Because Jeffrey didn't know where he was. He had a picture of him, but he couldn't figure out where he was or who adopted him or any of those things. Uncle Phil, this may backfire. This may backfire. This may backfire. Because that man does not know that Jeffrey wasn't doing all of that. Belair, you kind of, unless that was intentional, we were supposed to see that, but if not, that was to me was a ball drop. But anyway, let's get to Uncle Phil real quick. Let's talk about Uncle Phil, and let's talk about Uncle Phil and his firm. His partner is asking him about what is he doing so that he's trying to get this particular account back from Erica's law firm. He goes and he meets with them, and those people are trying to court him, honey. And I mean, when I'm telling you that they are courting him, honey, they are telling him to name his price, telling him they want him to head up their West Coast division, all of these little different things. They're telling him that they want him in their law firm to be a partner, one of the partners in the law firm. But Uncle Phil is trying his hardest to get the account back. Well, he was, because toward the end we see that he talked to Vivian about it, and Vivian is feeling some kind of way because of Erica, and she has told Uncle Phil that she's feeling some kind of way about Erica. So maybe we're gonna find out what Erica did. Were they dating? What was really going on with Erica? Because she's very concerned, and toward the end of the episode, she had Erica's number in her phone as if she was going to call. But Uncle Phil is, like I said, he's between a rock and a hard place, because he's working very hard to get these accounts to keep his firm from being absorbed by another firm. But Erica's firm is offering him a deal that he possibly cannot turn down, and he is trying to weigh his options, because his partner is scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. Let me look at my notes now. Let's go back to Will. Let me see. We got Jeffrey. We went through Jeffrey. Let's talk about Carlton. Hold up, let me see. No, let's talk about Will first. So Will is trying to juggle his stuff with Doc and juggle his stuff with the Founders Day thing. He is aware that everybody is trying to assist him, but he's feeling some kind of way because, Doc is throwing emergency practices. There's a whole lot of stuff. Again, remember we found out a couple of episodes ago that Will and Doc come from the same mindset. City guys struggling to make good, and using all the tools that they have for themselves. Uncle Phil, again, he's had the I don't want to say that, because he did come from Yamakra. But he's been educated, so he has seen a different side of that. He still had to work hard to get to where he was. But, Uncle Phil wasn't, from his family, he wasn't pulling up from the gutter type situation, the way Will and Doc see their situations. So Will goes to practice. He they come outside and they see that Will is driving a Lexus truck. And so the guys are like, oh, I want to drive something like that when I get bigger, da 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 da. So they go to the hangout spot. Will drives them to the hangout spot, and Jackie is there. And baby, Jackie, for whatever reason, something is going on, honey. She done got pissy drunk. And with her being so pissy drunk, she's saying a lot of stuff. She's almost getting into fights. And Will has to take her home. Will is not looking forward to that because, taking her home in this state makes him look bad in Doc's eyes. That is not what he wants. But it ends up that they sit down on the steps and they talk about it, and Doc kind of confides in him that, uh Jackie's mom is his little sister, and she had her when she was in high school. And apparently Jackie's mom has had some issues, but Doc has been there to kind of help Jackie out. She has some demons that she has to exorcise, according to Doc. And that lulls Will into a reason to talk with Doc, and to explain to Doc how he got from Philly to here. Now, I don't know if that was a good idea, Will, to talk to him about, because, Doc has some ulterior motives. I don't know exactly what that is. So the next time we see Will going to practice, Will is on first string. Now, here's the thing. One of the gentlemen that he gave a ride to the hangout spot, the one with the dreads, who was explaining like he got his letter for UCLA. He's going to go to UCLA. He's got to make UCLA work. He's got to make the pro stuff work. He's not on the team. You don't see him anywhere. So did Doc replace him? What's going on? That just seemed too quick to, because Will said, well, where is so-and-so? And the other guy, the guy with the short haircut, he was like, man, come on, you on the team. You need to do this. You need to do that. So that's interesting to me where that young man went. Also, I want to go ahead and point out that Will and Uncle Phil had a discussion. It was a back and forth, because here's what happened. Now we're going to talk about Carlton. So Carlton is getting ready for the Founders Day. Apparently, they have this little meet and greet where the students can come and talk to the nominees for the Founders Award. So they all have a little table. So you have this white guy that was on the lacrosse team, who has all of these connections. His mother is on Yale. His family was one of the families that started Bel Air Community. And then you have Carlton doing everything that he needs to do to be able to, he's got his picture with Obama and all this other stuff. So then we don't see Will. Will is not there because Will is at practice. Now, in this whole situation, you remember old Drew. Drew is the one that Carlton beat up the other time because Drew was so busy trying to make Carlton look bad. And particularly, he is trying to make Carlton look bad to Lisa, because he's trying to do everything that he needs to do to impress Lisa, even be a daggone snake in the grass. And you're going to figure this out in a few minutes, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. He really, really wants Lisa for whatever reason. He's been trying to get Lisa for a couple of years. And so now he has her attention. And so he's trying to keep her attention, not by the things that he does, but how he can make other people look bad, and then juxtaposed him with those other people, he looks good. So here's what happens. So we're at this little thing, and everybody's doing this Q&A with Carlton and with the white guy. Now, remember, the white guy was the guy in the locker rooms on the first season. You remember them and what Carlton was doing. It was all about a week ago. Carlton was in there. You remember this? All right, that's about to come up and bite Carlton in the butt. Because as Will comes in and he's talking and everything like that, he's just not prepared. He's not prepared. He's not as focused as he needs to be, simply because he's got too much on his plate, and he does not have the ability to organize all of that, to do the time. He doesn't have the time. He's working to try. What's important to Will is this playing basketball. He's doing the Founders Day because it looks like good on his resume, not because he wants it. Carlton is the one that wants it. Baby. So all of them are in there and they're talking and everything like that, and giving their information and giving their spiel, and the students are asking questions and all this other stuff. Next thing you know, somebody airdrops to the student body Carlton first season. Remember when they was in the locker room and the white guys were talking about N-word this and N-word that, and Carlton didn't correct them, and then it took Will to come in to correct them and tell them, nah, you can't talk like this, you can't talk to us like this, you can't do this, you can't say these types of things. And it gets airdropped, and the white guy and Carlton, the student body is not feeling them at all. But everybody is now still feeling Will, because Will kind of stood up for himself. He stood up for his people. But just wasn't looking good for poor Carlton. And that's a lot of stress on Carlton. Carlton talks to his father about it. He talks to his family. He really talks to his mom about it. And he was saying, I made all these mistakes. And she says, well, the thing of it is, we all make mistakes. The difference is that y'all have social media. And she was saying, I made mistakes in my day. I just didn't have somebody always reminding me about it in social media, and you're going to do well. So he does a little social media post to try to explain himself. And I think he did a pretty good job. In the interim, Drew is standing around talking about the video and all this other stuff. And Will comes up behind him, and Will kind of figures out, wait a minute, Drew was the one that put that video out. Drew says, you can't prove it. And Will was like, that was just dirty. That was thing, but you need to watch your back. And Drew is like feeling himself. And he sees, and he walks off with Lisa, because he's feeling himself. He has who he wants. He has what he wants. And like I said, he's one of those dudes that wants you to see the best in him, but there is really nothing extraordinary about him. And the only way that he looks good is if he makes other people look bad. That's the only way that he can figure out to make people look good. I think that's going to bite him in the tail. Meanwhile, y'all, you remember I kept telling y'all I was so worried about Carlton and them drugs, but he started sniffing, child. And I can't tell if it's which one is it? What is he sniffing? Because when it first season it claimed it was his ADHD medication, but I'm not sure. I don't know what that is, but he has started again, and y'all, he's fixing to spiral clean out of control. He's about to spiral clean out of control. And I just don't see anything other than, I just don't see where we're going to go up from here, because he is about to make a major fall, and nobody is prepared for it. Everybody thinks that they're prepared, and everybody thinks they know what Carlton is going through. But Carlton, bless his heart, he don't really have nobody. And lastly, let's talk about Hilary and Jazz, y'all. Hilary and Jazz, make the longest story short, they've been cutting up and acting a fool since Mrs. Banks' gallery showing. They've been cutting up and acting a fool and going back and forth. So Will has been playing matchmaker, bless his little heart. He's been playing matchmaker, and he got them together. They go out on a date, and Jazz takes Hilary to her favorite restaurant. It's a great deal. It's a great dinner. Everything is good. Well, the bill comes, and they run his debit card. And with them running his debit card, I guess whatever amount of money that he put in there, it didn't clear. Because, sometimes with debit cards, I know it depends on your bank. I know mines will do silly things like you'll have a certain amount of money in there, and you have these big transactions, and then you'll have these little transactions. They will pull those big transactions, and they'll say pending. And like if you make a small transaction, well, it'll go through those little small transactions in an effort to get you to your to do an overdraft. I think that's what they do, because I wait them out. I wait till those pending transactions are cleared. And I mean, you would have made those. Now, any other transaction, they clear within 12 hours. I'm telling you, at my bank, and this may be TMI, but they clear, or even they clear as soon as I make those transactions. But whenever I have a large transaction, it'll stay pending. And then all of a sudden, like if I make a small transaction, it seems like it'll try to go through to see if it's gonna keep me from overdrafting, and it's mind-boggling to me. I don't know what it is going on, but fees. That's all I can think about. So it ended up that Hilary paid for the bill. Jazz was in his feelings about that. He was like, "No, we don't want to do that." Hilary is of the ilk, like, "Hey, we didn't need to make a scene. I didn't want you to make this big scene. We knew you had the money because he could have paid her back if it was such a big deal. He could have just been like, I was gonna give you, I can give you the money back. But my thing was cash. You're in these types of places. Sometimes it's best to have cash on you so that you can pay for certain things. But that's just me. That's just me. You knew how much money that you were going to spend because you knew it was her favorite restaurant. You knew Will told you that cash always, cash is accepted everywhere. But anyway, Hillary is upset because she's like, wait a minute, you've got your insecurities and you're trying to throw them off on me. You haven't been the same since you found out that my ex-boyfriend is now in the NFL. And those are your insecurities. They're not mine. You're going to go have to deal with those insecurities. And she broke up with him. And I was like, kudos to you, Hillary. Kudos to you, Hillary. You know who you are. You know what you're worth. It wasn't that big of a deal, though I understand it was a big a deal. He could have paid her back, and that would have squashed it. He could have paid her back. He could have said, like, next time, don't do that. I'm paying you this money because I don't roll like that. And that could have been an honest conversation. She would have heard it, she would have received it, and you would have gone out your way. But you stayed in your feelings about it because she didn't want to have this big old deal because you were about to make such of a big deal to the point that you're in one of these quote unquote fancy restaurants. You know they were going to call the police on you. You knew they were going to do that. So, all I'm saying is kudos for Hillary for knowing that she didn't have to put up with that. And Jazz, you could have paid that woman back. Jazz, you've been in your feelings just because that man was doing something different than what you were doing. If Hillary wanted to be with LaMarcus, she would have been with LaMarcus. Quiet as it's kept and loud as I'm about to say it, you should have brought your butt to the doggone family reunion like she had asked you to. Doggone nerves. But anyway, I'm trying to think. I think if I did not, but I'm just going to go back over really, really quick. Not Hillary. Mrs. Banks is having all these issues about her show with the I think was it the Vanguard Award, whatever award she won, the fellowship she won. We find out that the picture that everybody is clamoring about, the anonymous picture, that was hers. And she's on the internet and she's talking about it, but her fellowship people want to have a conversation with her. I wonder what that conversation is. We don't know. That's it, y'all. What did y'all think about this episode? It was a lot. I see how everybody is under pressure. Vivian is under pressure with her fellowship. Uncle Phil is under pressure with his old law firm and whether or not he should do the new law firm. Carlton is under pressure because he is having to deal. He's just the kind of guy that needs a little bit more support and he doesn't know how to ask for the support. He just rolls with the flow because he thinks that what he wants or what he needs is too much when it's not even enough. He has gotten back on drugs and I'm upset. We don't know what's going on with Ashley because she wasn't there. We see Jeffrey is under pressure because now he is having to be a father figure for his son, for a son who does not see him as a father and who has a lot of issues about his father and his father not taking care of him, his parents not taking care of him. We see Frederick is under pressure because he's like, am I supposed to accept this man and I don't know this man, or what do I need to do? We see Will is under pressure with his AAA basketball league, with the fellowship, with his family, with Uncle Phil. So everybody is under pressure. Everybody's under pressure. This was a good episode, but y'all tell me what y'all think down here in the comments, all right? We do this every week, y'all. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all leave me some comments. Y'all let me know what's going on. Let me go on with you all. Tell me how you this show. Tell me about the video. Is the video too long? Is it too short? Am I too wordy? Do you need some visual aids? Y'all let me know. Let me know. Let me know. And as always, people, I will see you all next week, but Bye bye.